Good day, everyone. Welcome to Virtual Concert Halls. We are an independent broadcasting platform for musicians, music managers, music educators, and music lovers. I'm Anna Uspensky, and I'll be introducing today's program. Our platform is dedicated to streaming live performances and panel discussions. We connect musicians with their audiences and with each other. Today's concert was made possible and is proudly presented by Vox Novus, a production company based in New York, and Virtual Concert Halls, a broadcasting company based in Virginia. Today we are presenting the Lehner String Quartet with a program of new works by contemporary composers. This is a live performance which is being broadcast through the internet in real time. Composers from Australia, Hong Kong, Czechia, and UK, and the US will be joining our program after the concert for introductions, more comments, and more notes about the compositions. Please post your comments, your questions, and we'll bring them on screen and we will respond. The Lehner String Quartet is composed of members of the Kennedy Center Opera House Orchestra, the Washington National Opera, and the National Symphony. Violinists Natasha Bogachek and Zino Bogachek, violist Philippe Chao, and cellist Igor Zubkovsky. Each are accomplished performers in their own right, with a long history of performing together to bring music to audiences around the world. I would like to welcome to our studio Robert Voicey. He's the director of Vox Novus. Hi, Rob.
Hi,
Great
Anna.
to
How are
see
you?
you.
Good to
And
see you.
yeah, it's a beautiful day today. And we're presenting a truly inspiring program. Rob is the producer of the Composer's Voice concert series, and I understand you have produced this concert series for years in New York and many other countries. So, can you tell us maybe just a brief introduction about the series
Oh,
and
sure.
about this project?
Yeah, we started in 2001. So we've this is going to be our 20th year. It's
Good anniversary.
yeah. Normally it's we're based in New York City, so it's been a concert series in New York City. We played in all sorts of chamber venues throughout New York City. Over 150 performances, most of them, in church settings and so forth. But we played basically all over.
And you took it to some other countries as well.
Yes, about 10 or 12 other countries. Israel, UK, Brazil, Argentina, and
It's
yeah,
impressive.
the the idea of composer's voice. I created it to basically give an avenue to composers for them to produce, present, and promote their works. To find musicians who are willing to play their works and to present them to audiences all over the world. Specifically, so Composer's Voice also seeks out talented musicians in order to champion these new works. And so, today we'll be featuring the Lerner Quartet, and we'll be presenting the works of William Toutant, Miguel Heatwole, Ken Paoli, Kevin Pang, and Tatiana Mikova.
And that's in the order of the program.
That's
So,
correct.
yeah. So let's introduce our first composer and our first work, which will be
Yeah,
presented.
that's William Toutant, Toutant, sorry, and he became professor emeritus in May 2013 at California State University, Northridge, after 38 years of teaching music. And for 18 years, he wrote and hosted the weekly radio program, the KCSN Opera House.
Wonderful. Welcome, William. And I will introduce the first composition, which will be performed in a minute. This piece was composed during the quarantine lockdown, ordered and caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The piece reflects the composer's varied emotions during this time of enforced confinement. Structurally, the piece consists of a germ motive heard at the beginning and a short theme that begins with ascending sixth of the germ motive. This short theme is immediately fragmented and imitated among the four instruments. There are also two slower fugato sections. The subject of each is a rhythmic variant of the short theme. In the second fugato, each entry of the subject is varied rhythmically. At the end of the piece, each of the three ideas, the first theme and the fugato subjects, are played successively in stretto. And stretto is a compressed form of a fugato. Near the end of the piece, all three ideas are twice played simultaneously. The opening motive is heard at various points in the piece and very prominently at the end. So be on the lookout for that first motive because it has quite a life throughout the piece. And now we're going to welcome on stage the Lehner Quartet. That was quite a fabulous performance of a very engaging piece, don't you think?
They were awesome. Yeah, I thought they were great.
Yeah. What a great start for the program. We'll be introducing our next piece, right, Robert?
Yes. Uh, the next composer we have is from Australia, Miguel Heatwole. He's a Australian composer. Miguel Heatwole began his career as a choral musician during the 1990s. As a musical director of Ecopella and the Solidarity Choir, he arranged and composed numerous pieces on environmental and social justice themes.
And here are the notes about the piece you're about to hear. As the son is uncle and uncle of marine biologists, the composer's imagination took him to the Great Barrier Reef, which is located in Australia, and drew him under to a threatened world of spectacular alien beauty. In the composer's own words, Triton swam smoothly with me through the eerie waters of my adventure, alive with colorful fish flashes and weirdly graceful denizens. The second movement begins with a melody whose Swedish flavor nevertheless avoids flippancy, flirt though it may with its counterpointed cousins. After a couple of gradual ascents through varied terrain, we make a temporary halt at the summit before the original melody returns in subterranean disguise to herald a brief final passage whose rhythmical energy foreshadows the coming final event. In whimsically applying the bow to the familiar time signature of the slip jig, the composer have not intended to speak traditionally. The talkative contributors to this four-way conversation may not have Irish accents, but they do manage an energetic lilt. Looking forward to this very intriguing piece based on the very vivid imagination of the marine world. Um, we're going to welcome the Lehner Quartet with their performance. drama.
Yeah. I could hear all the undercurrents going on.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Fabulous.
Let's introduce our next piece.
Yes. So the next piece is String Quartet Number 3 by composer Ken Paoli. He's based in the United States in Illinois. Ken Paoli is a professor of music at College DuPage, Illinois. Ken is involved in archiving and researching the works of American composer Phil Windsor. Ken's research interests includes algorithmic composition.
The String Quartet number 3 was written while serving as a visiting professor at National Chiao Tung University in Hsinchu, Taiwan. Sorry, I tried to learn how to pronounce it properly, but it didn't work out too well. I apologize. The work is in 3 movements and was algorithmically generated using freely applied serial techniques. The organization of rhythm was based on manipulations of the Fibonacci number series. The first movement features a series of duets as melodic material moves along varying instrumental parts. The second movement features a viola solo in a recitativo-like style. The finale again features duets in a development section based on the dissolution and fragmentation of melodic material. That's going to be quite interesting to follow all those developments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's welcome once again the Lehner Quartet with the new piece. What a
Tremendous, huh?
journey! What a journey! Every piece is such a different character, such a different aesthetics. That's an incredible, incredible concert.
Amazing. They're great players.
Yeah, fantastic. And let me just introduce one more time the Lehner Quartet, who the group is composed of the musicians, um, members of the two orchestras in residence at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., the Washington National Opera Orchestra, and the National Symphony Orchestra. And the quartet had been performing together for quite a while, bringing great music to the audiences around the world. And also, I want to remind our viewers that there will be a session, a more informal session of introductions. We will have composers join us at our broadcast studio and introduce more stories behind the pieces and share some information about themselves. At that time, we will be able to bring your comments and your questions on screen, and we will respond. Now we'll be moving into our next piece. Let's
Yes.
introduce the next composer.
Yeah, it's our next two pieces is Consolation and Serenata from Suite for String Quartet. It's with Kevin Pang. Kevin Pang is a Hong Kong-based composer and a medical doctor. His compositions have been selected for Hong Kong Contemporary Music Festival 2020, New Generation 2020, the Music Salon of Hong Kong Composers Guild, and the composition class with Professor Ken Ueno from UC Berkeley at Toolbox International Creative Academy at 2021.
Quite impressive. And just wanted to point out, we traveled from the United States to Australia, back to United States, and now we are going to Hong Kong for our next piece. The Consolation was inspired by a poem of the same title, written by the Russian poet Alexander Pushkin. In the poem, the poet reminded readers to remain optimistic and hopeful amidst misfortunes in life. Over the past year, the coronavirus pandemic has brought about devastating changes to everyone's life, just as what the poem described. The present is depressing here. Therefore, in this piece, the composer used two contrasting musical ideas to echo the expression of hopefulness and despair. It is perhaps important for every one of us not to lose hope in this particular tough time. And I will be reading the poem, the original poem, and I'll read it out in Russian as Pushkin wrote it. But you will be able to understand what it is about because we have a translation, which will go up in the moment. Yes, it's right up there. And here's the poem by Russian poet Alexander Pushkin. Если жизнь тебя обманет, не печалься, не сердись. В день уныния смирись, день веселья, верь, настанет. Сердце в будущем живет, настоящее уныло. Все мгновенно, все пройдет. Что пройдет, то будет мило. So the poem was translated from Russian into English by Andrei Kneller and is granted permission for use by the translator. The second movement, La Serenata, was written as an impression of a serenade, a musical genre intended for evening performance historically. This piece is an exploration of timbres through the use of certain extended techniques for strings. The music began with a light atmosphere. It gradually becomes unsettling in the middle, but soon resolves back into the familiar main theme near the end of the piece. The piece was composed when the composer was working overnight shifts in a local health authority as a medical doctor for the coronavirus pandemic. During the endless, busy, and chaotic evenings, some of composer's mixed thoughts and emotions formed the basis for the compositional background of this piece. Thus, for the title Serenade. This piece was perhaps an impression of reflective evening mood and recollection of vanished fond memories which seemed to have become so distant in times of pandemic. This piece was selected for performance by the Quartet at the Lee Hai-San Concert Hall in Chinese University of Hong Kong on June 10th, 2020. For the Concert of Ensemble in Residence program of the Department of Music of Chinese University of Hong Kong. And we're going to welcome back the Lehner Quartet with these two pieces by the composer coming to us from Hong Kong.
gorgeous, beautiful
So,
pieces.
so gorgeous and so different. What a richly differentiated program. This is just amazing to from one aesthetic to another and yet to another and yet to a different one. And yeah, I would like to remind again the audience that there will be an opportunity to meet the composers at the end of the concert, and we're coming to the closing composition of this concert, right?
Yes, right. And we're off the other direction now. We're going to Europe um, uh, with Tatiana Mikova. This is String Quartet in Modo Lidico. The music of London-based Czech composer Tatiana Mikova straddles two worlds, the concert hall and the movie. Her two nonettes, performed by renowned Czech nonet, won Global Music Awards in USA, and were featured on American Public Media Performance Today, Classical KUSC in Los Angeles, Classical KDFC in San Francisco, and other radio stations worldwide.
The quartet in Modo Lidico refers to Morava, a region of the Czech Republic where the composer was born. This piece tends towards minimalism, whether the Czech folk music, particularly the music of Moravian region, with rich and diverse folklore features, quite permanently represented. The three-movement piece with characteristic Lidic quarter, typical for Moravian folk music. Simple open harmonies, rhythmic patterns combined with slowly building dynamics and textures create a celebration atmosphere with strong folk dances links. The Moravian folk music influence can also be found in music of the distinguished Czech composers of the 19th and 20th century, such as Leoš Janáček and Vítězslav Novák. While the first two movements were written in Prague in 2012, Mikova later moved to London, where she wrote the third movement and completed the entire work. So we'll be welcoming again the Lehner Quartet with the concluding piece of today's presentation, the quartet written by Czech composer currently residing in London. Standing ovation. Yeah. What a
Wow.
phenomenal piece to conclude the program.
Yes. Wow. Uh,
That-
yeah, they were a bunch of great pieces, huh? Just wonderful.
From every culture, every part of the world, with completely different makeup and aesthetics. Oh my goodness, what a rich program. I hope everyone enjoyed this. And we're moving on to the next part of the program. We'll be inviting the composers who are all gathered in our studio now. We can see them, and you will see them in a second. We'll have a discussions and introductions. This is more an informal part of the concert, and we invite all the viewers to participate. Please write to us your comments, your questions. Give us a few seconds to put them up on the screen, and we'll have the composers and Robert Voicey and myself responding and talking to you. So we will start by inviting, in the order of the program, William Toutant. Welcome, William.
Hello.
Hi,
Thank you.
Bill.
Thank you
Great
very
pleasure.
much.
Great pleasure to have you here. And next, Miguel Heatwole. Welcome, Miguel.
Hi, Miguel.
Hello. Time
Great
zone
pleasure to have
applicable greetings to all.
you. Absolutely. And now we'll have Ken Paoli join us. Welcome, Ken. What a great pleasure to have you. And then Kevin, please unmute yourself before we put you on screen. Kevin, welcome.
Right,
It
Kevin.
Hello,
must be
hello.
really early in the morning in Hong Kong right now.
Yeah, 3 a.m. now.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Welcome. And Tatiana Mikova, please unmute yourself before we put you up on stage here. Yes, Tatiana will be joining us in a second. Welcome, Tatiana. It's a great
Hello.
pleasure
Hi,
to have
Tatiana.
you.
Hello.
And hopefully in a minute we'll have some members of the quartet join us too. Robert, you take
Well,
over.
how is everybody? What do you think? They were okay, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Deeply,
mean-
deeply enjoyable.
Let's give a round of applause to the quartet.
Yes, let's.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Bravo. quartet.
So, I gotta
And
ask
another
you
round
guys.
of applause. I'm sorry, Rob. We have to give another round of applause to phenomenal composers who brought their talents to the program.
Absolutely.
Let's give another round of applause.
Yeah, great pieces. Every one of you. Just
Fantastic
wonderful work.
composition.
So, let me just start by, asking you guys. Just feel free to just chime in. So how do you feel about doing, these sort of concerts on live? They're very different from a live performance or a recording.
Well, I like the fact that it is actually live. It's not recorded and overdubbed and bits and pieces spliced together. So you do get the effect of a live performance.
Yeah, it's different, right? I don't think audiences truly appreciate the difference between like the sort of energy that's alive, and I mean recordings are great. I love recordings. They're very polished, but it almost lacks a little energy, kind of, right?
Well, this certainly was spontaneous, and wow, did they play?
What do you think, Miguel?
Well, I haven't a great deal to compare it to. That online performance was the first public performance of an instrumental work of mine. Mostly done choir stuff with the community choirs I teach. And done hundreds of gigs, but I couldn't have asked for better. Such gloriously skillful playing. Just hats off to the players and to you guys for putting together all the must have been technological challenges to bring us all together with this music from right around the world and just an amazing event. It's got something that a live gig doesn't, I think. that international character that we have this morning. This morning for me, afternoon for you.
Right. Well, that's kind of the probably the biggest advantage of being able to do these on the internet is that you can bring, people all over the world together, which is unique. What do you think, Tatiana? You're in Europe.
Absolutely agree. It's amazing idea that we can join from people all over the world. Absolutely amazing. I think that COVID has positive things, not only negative, in this case.
Absolutely. Well, that's the thing is you sort of you make the opportunities with the situation that you have. And Kevin, how are you doing there?
Yeah, I love the performance. Yeah, and I think the virtual concert hall is a wonderful platform. Yeah, we can have this kind of online performance in the real time. Yeah, because previously I just had the experience of some pre-recorded concerts, but it's the first time you have the interaction and in the real time performance. Yes, that's great. Yeah.
Was it more exciting for you, Kevin?
Yes.
Was it more exciting?
Yes, sure. Yes, because we can it's like in a part as part of the concert, and you can have the real life responses from the audience and asking the question. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the great thing of also like sort of doing this live is just to be able to get the audience feedback and be able to introduce them to the composer. Sometimes it can be awkward in a concert setting. In fact, you know what, Ken, well, you can let us know what you want about the virtual, what you think about the virtual format, and we actually have a question for you as well. So why don't you start?
Well, right now in this time, in this period, I think this is great. As you know, Rob, I do a tremendous amount of studio work, and I'm in the studio all the time. And many times I realize the work without a human intervening. And so I think I wrote you in an email how I was excited I could barely sleep because I was actually going to have human beings play one of my works again, because my output is primarily computer-driven and electronic. In my older age, in my younger age, it was almost all acoustic, obviously. In fact, I eschewed electronic music because when I first started it was 4 reel-to-reel tape decks simul-syncing on a studio Moog where it was all modular, and it took an awful lot of time to get a squeak.
Right.
And
Yeah.
speaking of the human beings performing the pieces in real time, the quartet is ready for the bow. So we're going to put them up on the screen for one final bow. Here's the Lehner Quartet.
Hey! Woo!
Bravo!
Yeah. You guys do great.
Yes.
Amazing.
Thank you so much, Lehner Quartet. What a great pleasure to have such classy performances. So it's an incredible honor. So and then now back to all of us.
So actually, Ken, and full disclaimer, Ken and I, we've worked a lot at the Electronic Music Midwest, so we've done a lot of electronic work together, and it's interesting to sort of blend the difference between electronics and computers and mathematics, and everybody thinks of music as being like super creative, and one of our audience members had a question about Fibonacci numbers and wanted you to say how you incorporated that into your piece.
Okay.
Good. I was going to ask exactly the same thing.
Okay. Well, let me start off with my first controversial remark that you have to be a computer musician, you have to accept music as data. You have to be able to then look at the possibilities of data manipulation. And so it wouldn't matter if it was numbers on a line. I often use Xenakis sieves to generate rhythmic patterns, pitch patterns. A Fibonacci series can be looked at like any line. It could be looked at duration and attack points. The way I can use it in this piece, for instance, would be to take the Fibonacci series and put it into an array and then have the computer randomly select members of the array and put together rhythmic patterns. So that gives you like a group of 1, a group of 2, a group of 3, 5, 8, etc. A lot of times I start out with probability curves, but as I've been getting more controlled, I seem to be adding more. I write my own patches, and I do that so that I can get what I want out of the programs.
Yeah, and patches for all you people who aren't electronic music savvy. That's basically apps that we use to create
Max.
Sound, right? Yeah, Max.
Well, Max, and when I do MIDI manipulation, I use a program called Music Wonk. Again, my drive to use those programs came from the fact that when you use somebody else's program, it might be fun, and then you can generate one piece. And then if you want to do something else, you have to go in and get the code or get permission. So it's much easier just to write your own routines as you move along. Right. And I almost, to me, the computer's a work desk, and I just substitute the computer for the piano.
Right. I know we had another question about, the connection of the Lehner Quartet. I know that they're all packing up now, so they wanted to know if there was a connection between the Lehner Quartet and the Lehner String Quartet.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are going to ask them this question. The Lehner Quartet has packed, so they will not be able to answer this particular question right now. But we will follow up, get the answer, and we'll post it in the same feed. I believe that was the YouTube feed. So please come back to the same video. We'll have the question answered.
So let me pose another question to the composers, more of sort of like ability, like as So what do you think of this project? Like, what are things that you would prefer? What could be better, or opposed to getting like a string quartet to perform it, in a recorded studio or in a concert performance?
Gosh, I was just so thrilled with this whole process. We actually got to participate in rehearsals. And very often when a quartet is on the other side of the country or the other side of the world, you just hope that they understand your notation and come up with something that's close to what you wrote. In this case, we actually had to be able to interact with the quartet members.
Yeah, I think that's also like a concept that people don't totally get about. You write the notes on the page, for the musicians to interpret, and especially a new piece, that notation may not be accurate, or the interpretation may not be that accurate, or there can be a lot of stuff lost in translation, right? I mean, I think we can all, right? Do we all agree? I think we've all had our difference. I've had a lot of different rehearsal experiences, for sure.
Well, perhaps this would be a good time to relate the experience I had on Thursday.
Yeah.
And Robert asked me to mention it. on Thursday, I was talking to the quartet, and I mentioned that I had studied at George Washington University, which is just a few blocks from the Kennedy Center, where they all perform in the two major orchestras there. And I mentioned that I had studied violin with a gentleman named Richard Parnas, who was the principal violist of the National Symphony. And I studied for 2 years. And at the very last lesson I had with him, I had been struggling for 2 years trying to get a decent sound out of the mediocre violin the university had lent me. And at my last lesson with Mr. Parnas, he said, well, why don't you try my instrument? So I took his viola and I played a little bit of a Handel sonata on it, and I sounded absolutely wonderful. I couldn't believe how great I sounded with his viola. When I told that story, Philippe Chao, the violist, said, "This is Richard Parnas's viola. I acquired it a short time ago. So who would have guessed that my teacher's instrument that I tried out so long ago would be part of a premiere of a piece I wrote half a century later?"
Small world, right?
Well, Bill, let's hear that Handel sonata.
You wouldn't want to have heard me play it then, or certainly not now.
Oh, fabulous. Well, I want to again encourage any of the audience members. If you have a question, you can type it into the comments, or any feedback would be great. Meanwhile, I mean, I guess, does anybody have anything else they want to say, or did they have a question for me? Or
I found the rehearsal was a little hard to do because of the wanting to let them have the space to play and just sitting back and then occasionally commenting. But that's I think I'm better set up for it now with the headphones and the AKG mic. Now I'm ready to go for the next time. I was just happy that when I logged in the first time that I didn't see the quartet throwing the music up in the air and going, "This is unplayable, I'm out of here."
They are great players. They're really, really wonderful.
Yes, totally are.
I think it's always a challenge for composers, especially with new works, when you have a new piece and you want it played. And there's a lot of things that are going on, like in our own brains, as we're hearing our pieces for the first time. And getting that sort of like you said, are they going to throw it up in the air, or did you write it right, or it's a process. And that's one of the things that we want to try to do with this program, is to sort of get that rehearsal thing. So when you're hearing the piece for the first time and in the performance, it isn't really the first time. So you're somewhat acclimated, right?
I'm sure. Did all of us have an intermediary between our scores and the players of a recording? I made a MIDI recording out of what I call the Asimov Sinfonia, a robot orchestra, very obedient. That they never asked to be paid either. And I found in that process that one of the players from the quartet asked, "It speeds up here in the recording, but it's not in the score. Is that what you wanted?" And it was what I wanted, because the MIDI file was how I wanted it to sound. So I was able to make some corrections in the score. I guess in the old days, that gap between what's in the composer's mind, what they put on the page, and what gets into the players' minds, would have lacked that intermediary that we have these days. Did everyone else put in a recording of their piece?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I used physical modeling strings. They said it sounds very quartet-like.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point I said, when in doubt, listen to my MP3.
Yeah.
In fact, if you want to hear this quartet, it's up on my SoundCloud page, and you can hear the physical modeling instruments.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd obviously rather have humans do it.
Yeah. That was one of the joys of this experience for me was. Sorry,
Yes,
Tatiana,
yeah, sorry, I can't hear. Yes, I would like also welcome opportunity to have my orchestra works played, but I know that it may be technically difficult today.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, they see, we've, yeah. What's next? um, so yeah, we are hoping to do another round of string quartets next month. We're trying to put that together as we speak. This is a new project. Um, Basically, I've been sort of being a dad for the last couple of years, and with the quarantine and the pandemic going around, I definitely noticed that a lot of my colleagues were having trouble getting gigs and just performing. So what I wanted to do is create a series that encouraged musicians to come on and play new works for composers who are willing to produce their works from around the world. So hopefully the next thing is going to be a string quartet next month. Stay tuned here and so forth, and we'll be announcing that. And the quartet loved your pieces, everyone. They were very excited to get it, and if I can just speak for them, they were really thrilled, and so they're gonna do it again. We're gonna put out another call, so we'll put out another call for string quartets from composers who want to participate, and then we're looking to to get more musicians. You never know, Tatiana. We're working on an orchestra. We're working. It's it's a feat, but we are not of the faint of heart, so so keep your ears open. We'll try to get something done with that. There's always hey, it's just like with the pandemic. It just presents hurdles to find solutions for.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Well, I want to thank you all for being a part of this. I can't tell you how special it is for me to have composers like you be a part and get your works heard. And I mean, from another composer, let me just say they were all wonderful, wonderful pieces. I enjoyed listening to them a great deal.
Well, and thank you for the opportunity to do this. And if I could comment on the quartet, so often, fairly often, when one gets a piece performed by a group, you get maybe a second reading. The performance is a second reading. You don't get much in the way of rehearsals, and they clearly spent a lot of time preparing for this concert. And as a composer, I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yep. Echoed and re-echoed.
Well, guys, thank you very much, and I look forward to working with you again. And let's stay in touch, and I'll see you soon.
You all be well.
Thank you.
You be all
Thank
be
you.
Everybody be well.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And it's time for me and you, Rob, and I want to thank you very much for producing this incredible program and for
And I want to thank
bringing
you
this
too, Anna.
world of great music and great musicians on board. This is incredible.
I mean, I have to really thank you, Anna, and your whole team. Virtual Concert Halls really has made this happen.
And here's our team, and thank you very much to everyone who's supporting, for all the hands and all the creativity which goes into creating this platform for everyone to play on, to enjoy, and be safe during the harsh times. And we hope to stay alive after the harsh times are over and connecting people who otherwise wouldn't be able to connect in real time with their audience and with each other. Thank you, our viewers, and please visit us again. What's coming up for virtual concert halls is a lot of performances, and namely tomorrow we'll be presenting music studio live. From the series of our presentations of young musicians. Tomorrow will be a very special program. We'll present 24 young piano students performing concertos with orchestral -1 recordings in real time. That's going to be quite an interesting program. Hope you tune in and check in and give us your feedback, please. We would like to learn how you feel about our programs and what we can do to continue to improve. Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon, evening, morning, whatever your time zone, and see you again soon. Bye now.
Bye.